Well, I don't normally do this, but before this video started, I wanted to say quick apology to anybody who was watching the video version of this podcast and not listening because we had some video issues and then the camera got out of frame and all kinds of bad things. So enjoy the audio version. Ignore our problems and hope you guys enjoy. Jason and Brad are freaking awesome. Tin Soldier is such a cool company and hope you guys enjoy it, but on to the video. Cool, everything's recording. Guys, we got Jason Terrell and Brad Schnieders on, and they own Tin Soldier race cars.
Yeah, no S.
Yeah. No, it's not plural. There's just one soldier. It's like
it's like Kroger. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to say Kroger's.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys have Kroger's now? Or Kroger's?
There it is.
We have only their delivery service.
All right.
Yeah, we don't actually have like Kroger. It's
Stores?
hard to,
That's wild.
That is weird.
We got Publix, man. They're on every corner.
Yeah, there is a lot of Publix.
Publix is expensive.
That's the problem. They're on every single corner because they want to compete with themselves. Yeah. So they'd rather compete with themselves than let somebody else come in so they get to name the price, basically.
In Kentucky, we have Dollar Generals on every corner.
I do remember that from I've been to Bowling Green.
Yeah.
A lot of Dollar Generals.
Many a times in Bowling Green.
A lot of Dollar Generals and Waffle Houses.
Yeah. I love me some Waffle House. So you guys just won the Christmas Tree Drags, the 5th annual first place deal you guys got. I was super bummed that you guys didn't get to race Billy because I think that would have been like a kind of a... Have you guys ever lined those two cars up together?
No, I don't think those two cars
one time when we were tested, we had on a test pass. Remember when we first got the motor done? We ran them on engine.
Oh, at Edgewater. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Never in like competition, though.
Yeah, never in competition.
Yeah.
So.
Both cars were rolling, too. I mean, I don't know if they put anything into it, but he could have possibly given you a little bit of a run, but I don't know if he had anything for, a 67 did a run?
Yeah, went a 667 in the finals. Yeah, Billy had gone. I think he went a 92 and a 93.
Yeah.
But he said he was blowing through the converter up top, and he's like, I can't go any faster. So and then they were battling oil leaks. Every round they were coming back and cleaning the oil off of it.
Isn't that just big block stuff, though?
I mean, our big block don't leak.
I was like, because I saw him on the top end after a pass, and he was like, oh, it's leaking all over the place. I'm like, I feel like it's like a power glide. Like, it just kind of leak. Yeah, there's just places that fluid comes out. Maybe that's just my shit.
Yeah, everybody said that the nitrous car wasn't going to make it all the rounds, and all the turbo cars broke.
Whoa. My turbo car did not break.
That's because you got a Toyota motor.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually got the right displacement. 180 cubic inch is all you need. Versus what, 700 and...
Our motor's a 774.
Holy crap. Who built that deal?
So the motor was originally built by Philip Oakley. So it was actually in Philip Oakley's personal NHRA top dragster. Mm-hmm. And then he sold it to the guy in Chicago.
Yeah.
And that we bought it from. But Tony Bischoff, when the guy in Chicago bought it, Tony Bischoff went through it and freshened it and changed some things.
Yeah, did his Uncle Tony stuff.
That's a heck of a name to...
Yeah.
Yeah, he's we're lucky, man. Like, Bischoff is our friend. Like, we talk not about race cars with Tony.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
He's only like 30 minutes from us. So
that's a lot of knowledge to put into that motor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were buddies with him before, but then one time he wrecked. He's got a nitrous Pro Mod, and he wrecked his Pro Mod and needed it fixed in like a week to make the next race. And so we fixed it for him, and ever since then, we've been really good friends with him. So
he keeps you guys in his back pocket just in case.
Yeah.
Like those NPK guys and like Pro Mod guys, they're like, yeah, I need the whole car rebuilt in
a week,
48 hours. I've seen Justin Swanstrom do the same thing with Cameron Johnson. It's like, we need it done now. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we fixed Jerry Bird's car one time when he wrecked it in Columbus.
Yeah, I forgot we did that. Yeah, in a week.
Yeah, literally put it in the wall. We fixed it in like 3 days.
Yeah. Well, it's like those guys, like that's their, like if your car's broken that you drive to work, it's a priority, right? Well, like a lot of those guys, their race car is their car that goes to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's very high on the priority list to get it fixed.
Yeah, and it's probably cool to get to work on those, like, get to kind of attach yourself in a way to somebody like that and like a high level racing like that.
No, especially Tony, man. Like it's funny, like in the YouTube world, like YouTube and Facebook and like YouTube's different, right? So like people don't really know Bischoff as much in this platform, but he's out of all the engine builders, I think he's the best. That's a little bit of a. But
he's definitely one of the baddest in the nation. I mean, he's won the Engine Masters Challenge. Multiple times. He's won it with like a Ford engine, a Chevy engine, and a Dodge engine.
Yeah, most people have their like lane that he stays in, and Bischoff does it. Like he builds a lot of different stuff and is successful with a lot of different combinations, which is awesome. He's even messed with 2J stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the God's engine. Freaking Toyotas.
Small block Toyota.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that is interesting because I was thinking that, like, fast forward, who builds my engines, and they also built like LaSala's engines, and like his lane on overhead cam stuff, he is like top tier at it. Even he's done plenty of other stuff like big block stuff and that, but people normally do have their spot that they like to stay, and that's cool that he could just like whatever it is.
Yeah, he can do a little bit of anything. He's definitely most known for domestic V8s, obviously, and he's most known for naturally aspirated and nitrous engines. That's his bread and butter. But I mean, he still does turbo engines, supercharged engines. Yeah.
What was like your kind of philosophy going into running a deal like that out the back? Because that's not a very common deal. Like, there's not. Sorry, the lights kind of.
You're good.
That there's not that common. I feel like of a combo like that running quarter mile.
I really wasn't worried about it. So the nice thing about that big engine is it's not super sensitive to like it'll eat a lot of nitrous. Mm-hmm. That's why like the pro mods and stuff they run like a 959 is because the bigger the engine, the more nitrous it can consume. So even though like we're spraying yesterday like roughly like 750 horsepower worth of nitrous, but on that big motor it's really not that much. Mm-hmm. So like we were checking plugs all day Thursday, putting new plugs in it, checking them every round, and then on our test pass even on Friday. So we were just, like you get with a nitrous car, you got to creep into it, So like we made a 330 hit, and then we made 2 8th mile passes, and then we ran it like 800 foot, and then we ran it like 1,000 foot, So you're just creeping into it. It's not like a turbo car where you just turn the closed loop fuel on and run it all the way out the quarter, and you're like, it's fine. You know what I mean?
It'll figure it out.
Yeah, the nitrous definitely, you got to be a little more careful, but we weren't leaning on it that hard. The car still got way more left in it. So basically we just made the tune-up safe. And
I think that thing would have went like a 40?
Yeah, I think we could go 630s, 640s.
That air got really good, and that'll throw some nitrous tune-ups off a lot.
Yeah, but we were still keeping an eye on the plugs, and they had no heat in them, so yeah, it was real safe on the tune.
It seems sketchy running that thing out the back just because.
Well, that's you.
Not the car itself, just running a motor like that out the back. I mean, the heat and everything alone that is putting into it.
It's honestly, man, it's not like nitrous cars kind of have a bad name because of bad tuners, really. Like he does a great job of it. It sounds ridiculous that 750 horsepower worth of nitrous is safe, but like, so that thing will eat way more than that. Like when we're leaning on it to the 8th, it'll have a lot more nitrous in it.
Yeah, like it'll have like 1,000 on it. Yeah.
And it probably makes what, 1,200 all motor or
1,400 makes 1,400 on motor.
So that thing, even without nitrous, is a 4-second car.
Yeah, it's been 491 on motor. Yeah,
that is so stupid that you could just drive that thing off the trailer, no bottles in it, and go 490s. Yeah. Probably do that back to back all day
long. Yeah, and that's with like leaving with the nitrous converter that's way too tight like it would go faster if you put like a looser converter in it to run it on motors. So.
Yeah, if you tried to do like an NA race,
exactly.
Like World Cup, try to like squeeze into like a
which I think we are going to after last night. Like, one of our buddies, Martin Conley, he won a World Cup this year. He's like, he is a diehard racer. Right,
I was eating his food
he's the
whole time.
So Martin's like on the phone with our texting Brad, like, we need to change the standard of the converter. We need to do this. Like, Brad's like, Martin, we're at a race with a Christmas tree on top of the car. Like, we got the field, like, we felt like we had about 4 tenths on everybody. We're like, we're not messing with it. You know, like, like we know there's more in the tank, but we're going to leave it there because we got some other racing we want to do and the motor's fresh. So, like,
come on, you got to find that extra 10%. You got to do it.
Yeah.
He just can't turn off race car. You know what I mean? Like, it's got more in it. We got to find it. You know?
Yeah, this isn't Ultra Street. We don't need to find like 2 numbers.
Right.
Like, we got it covered.
Yeah,
Just keep doing what
I
you're
didn't
doing.
change the tune all day from our first test pass all the way to the finals. It was the same tune all day. I didn't. I was
You
just
didn't really open the laptop much.
yeah. I mean, I checked the log a couple times and we checked a couple spark plugs, but other than that, I didn't make any changes to it.
Yeah, I mean the car was working so well, and that track was super tight.
Oh, the track was way better than I thought it was going to be.
I can't believe it. And there's usually like crap falling on it from all the trees and stuff. And I guess the test and tuners didn't put much down, which is nice. And
Yeah.
that was a tight track. I guess they started doing something different with the glue, and
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, I kept telling him, I'm like, because the last race that we ran was a no time 28 race, and we went 104, 60 foot, and I was telling him, I'm like, we can go 104 on this, but we were just we were going 111 all night, just A to B.
just 111 A to B in a whole new gear with the eighth mile with the
the gear slowed it down. That was like my 104 tune-up was going 111, 112. So like the gear killed it a bunch up front.
Yeah. And for anybody just that doesn't know, Charlie Brown, the big ass 4-door race car that I don't know, what does it weigh? Do you guys even want to say?
I don't care.
It's like 2,600 right now.
Oh shit,
driver,
is that light?
Yeah, it's lighter than it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it's huge. It doesn't look like it'd be that light, but
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you guys are chassis shopping.
Yeah, and it's still stock style front suspension, got all TRZ stuff on it. It's still factory firewall. Like, I mean, it's a race car, but it's a pretty relatable race car. You know, the front end's still all steel. Like, I don't know. I do love that car. It's awesome.
I didn't think James would want to give it back.
He did it. He was texting me when I was at Disney. He's like, hey, man, just go ahead, stay the weekend. Or if you come, you could drive Ruby. I'll take this.
Yeah, so James drove it on Thursday for testing because you were still at Disney with the family, and obviously I'm sure he was perfectly comfortable in it, but that was a cool deal that he got behind the wheel.
Yeah, it was, dude, like, I haven't ever got to meet James in person till this weekend, and we have a bunch of mutual friends, right? So I love that dude, man. Like, he was so stoked, and like, you know, like I'm on family vacation. This kind of all was a whole mess. You know, we're there, Brad's here, and I'm like, man, I'm not leaving Disney World. Like, if I do, like, my wife, like, I don't want to do that to my kids, my wife. Like, we got to find somebody to put in this thing, and because we need the laps. And James was I was a little worried he was too tall, but he fit right in it. And yeah, he did a great job.
He'll make himself fit if it's a nice car. He'll be.
Yeah,
He got in there. I'm like, because it's got the pour-in seat. And so I was like, we can take the foam out of the seat and you can just sit in the carbon bucket. And he was like, nah, I'm good. I was like, all right.
He's got his own pour-in, I think. So I wonder if he could have swapped it into
Potentially, yeah.
there. Yeah, I guess they come out, right? You can,
Yeah,
It's just Velcroed in.
Oh, yeah, that would have been smart. But, you know.
he was fine.
Yeah, because I think he got poured in for Eagle to potentially drive that.
Oh,
thing.
nice.
Oh, cool. Yeah, James is a great driver. That'd be a great choice.
Yeah,
to
he did
put
a
him.
great job. Like, he hopped in there like he'd been driving that thing all year. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's pretty similar to the car he drives in Ultra Street.
Exactly. That's what we figured. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons that we were like, if you got a turbo guy that jumps in a nitrous car, it takes him a couple laps to get used to like, the bottle pressure and turn this on, turn that valve on. Like, doesn't seem like a lot, but it throws your routine off. So with James, he already drives a nitrous car. It makes
Well,
sense.
with every car, routine is so important. Like, I could overlay 10 passes and it'll almost look like the same.
Right.
Same time I put my visor down, same time I hit the buttons and stuff. Like, that routine, even though it's a turbo car, I mean, you just keep.
Oh
making
no,
sure it's in
absolutely.
first gear.
Routine is everything to win in races. Like even the way that I line him up and like I'm reading the racetrack every time, and like we have a routine. We've made a lot of laps together. So
where did Tin Soldier come from? Where did like the name come about? Where did you guys like decide to even hey, we should start a chassis shop?
So the name, we'll start with the name. So my dad is an NHRA Superstock racer. He's 82. He's still racing. He's going to try to race Indy again this year. So my background is NHRA stuff. I didn't like it. It was boring. I really didn't even like drag racing, which is weird, right? From where we're sitting at today.
When you were a kid.
Yeah, when I was a kid.
It's okay
yeah.
not to like NHRA stuff.
Yeah.
It's acceptable.
But so my dad had a Copo Camaro in the 60s. He worked for GM, 69 Copo car. And back then you had to name your race car. Like that was a unnegotiable thing. Like one of the reasons I like where we're at in drag racing now is naming the car has really came back, right? So there was an old song that it was called One Tin Soldier. And all the little tin soldiers would go out to battle and then one would ride away. So my dad's like, that is drag racing. All the little tin soldiers go out one by one, and they line up, and then one rides away at the end of the night, and hopefully you're the one. So his car was actually called One Tin Soldier. We just shortened it. But so then when Brad and I met, I can let him sit. I'll give him that story. But yeah, when we were talking about names, he's like, it has to be that. Like,
well, you were doing some welding out of your garage at home, and then you were calling like under like Tin Soldier Welding or something. Yeah. So yeah, we had talked about. So I was working. I was an automotive tech, and then left and started my own shop, and with two of my other buddies, we kind of did our own thing for a little bit, and then I left there and worked at some local speed shops. So I was working at a local speed shop at the time when I met Jason, and we became friends. He had a turbo 5.3 third gen Camaro, and I'm like, I like turbo LSs, so yeah, we're instantly friends. Yeah. But yeah, we actually met. We're friends. It was funny. We were friends on Facebook before we were friends. We had mutual friends. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then at Edgewater one day, our local racetrack, he pitted right next to me, and we just started talking and kept in touch. And then he was doing some welding at his house. And then we had a kid with a road race car asked you to do a cage in his car, and he didn't have a tubing bender or anything. Well, I grew up doing a lot of off-road stuff, so like I've been doing like tube bending and fab work since I was like probably 15. And mostly I started out on off-road stuff, but then I quickly got into drag racing once I got my driver's license. But so he asked me if I could bend the tube for him for the cage, and then he'd weld it, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So like we like partnered up and did this road race cage in the garage at his house. And
forgot about the road race cage.
That was first car we ever did. We did a road race cage in an Acura RSX.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then where did you learn all the, being a badass suspension tuner then? Because it's just picking it up as you go,
yeah,
figure
honestly,
it out.
we just picked it up as we went. So
the complex part is,
I'm a pretty quick learner. I can pick just about anything up pretty quick. But yeah, just a lot of reading, a lot of paying attention, a lot of racing. We're lucky that from the get-go, so we rented a little shop. It was like 1,200 square foot, and one of the first cars that we built was an X275 car for Jack Vanover, who was like a big nitrous X275 racer from Kentucky.
440s 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So we got really lucky in the beginning and got to work with some like really high profile racers like right off the rip.
Yeah.
And I basically just absorbed everything like a sponge. Like I was just real lucky that I got to be around these high level race cars and these really smart tuners and stuff. Yeah. And I was just like I said, absorbing everything, Yeah.
And, so right off the kick, nitrous small tire racing.
Yeah. Nitrous X275 car. So yeah, I'm just learning. And then we put our own Mustang together and raced that for a couple of years. And I learned a ton. So there's definitely, like, you can read all you want, watch all the YouTube videos you want, but you will learn more just getting out there and racing your car and making laps and trying stuff. You know what I mean? I'm sure you've experienced that. Just doing it, you learn so much.
I ask everyone around me a ton of questions too.
Yeah.
I'll always harass them about, try to get like 6 different opinions on what the car did and try to gather some kind of idea from all of that.
Yep.
But it's so complicated on some of this stuff. I think a lot of people are really like, they feel like there's a steep barrier of entry to learning, but it's not as bad as you'd think.
No, it's not that complicated. Most people overthink it. Race cars, they're not that difficult. Like I say, especially with all the modern EFI and everything, makes it so easy.
Well, a lot of times, like, people come to the pit and ask him a question, and like they'll want a more complicated answer than what he gives them. And I just watch him like he's lying to me, but I'm like, he's not. Like, like that's how we approach everything. Is like it's simple. We're here to make laps. Like, and from the beginning, like when we built Jack's car, we told him no like 3 times. We're like, we don't have the experience to build. This guy's already running at the top of X275. When we started our business, we had never built a race car in our life, like a real race car.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah,
like,
we had done like a bunch of 850 certs.
Yeah, so
I'd done a bunch of like razor cages, like stuff like that. I would say we had never even done a 25.5 when we went into business. And this dude's like, I want you to build me a brand new X275 car.
You were like, no.
We're like, we're not capable of, like, we're not ready to do that.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't take no for an answer. He's like, I'll help you. We'll do this together. And unfortunately, Jack passed. That sucked. We had just got the chassis. It was a roller. And we were supposed to go to Lights Out with him and help him on his current car. And he died about a week before Lights Out. Martin Conley was driving it. That's why Martin's so close to us, is he Jack was going to show us everybody in the industry, right? That was kind of the deal. And so Martin immediately stepped in and introduced us to everybody. And we just have always worked with amazing people. And our customers make us look good. They give us far more credit, I think, sometimes than we deserve. But, on our little group of people that we race with, like, there's stickers on the back glass of Charlie, but that represents a small portion of the army that's behind that thing. Like, the army that's behind us. Like, there's no one that could pay for that army. You couldn't afford it. You know what I mean? Like,
we got
the talent that we have.
Some bad dudes in our corner, for sure.
It's unreal. Like, I don't even know how else to say it, but like we come down every time the car leaves every time that thing leaves Kentucky, we're putting it in the winner's circle. Like, that's the attitude that you have to have when you leave. Like, I mean, we won last night. It was a great night. On the way here, we were talking about what we did wrong, how we screwed up, what we could do better. Like, I was lazy on the tree all night because we do. But I'm like, that's unacceptable. Like, I did a bad job driving last night. Like, we could have found some more ET. Like, every time, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Well, even seeing your pit and the amount of people that, probably came down on their own dime to support or in some way, but there was like 40 people there just fired up to be part of that team.
Yeah.
A couple shirtless guys there. It wasn't warm out last night. I was like, man, Barrett was out there.
Them Texas boys get wild.
I mean, Barrett's fired up about anything. He gets fired up to sell a shirt.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, we say this a lot, and it's an attitude that we try to keep. It doesn't matter as much how you do, it's how you do it. And like, if you win, that's awesome. If we lose, we have to carry ourselves the same way. If we piled the thing up last night, we need to do that with a smile. If we threw the rods out of it, we got to do this with a smile. Like, we are lucky to get to do what we do, and the way we handle ourselves is super important, right? So we're lucky, man. Like, just bear it, like the connections that we've made doing this, and we're going to keep making, just getting to know you. Awesome. Like, racing is about people. If you think it's about race cars, you're wrong. It's about people.
Yeah. Wes Buck always says that same thing. He's like, the race cars are not the stars of this. It's the guys behind them and the tuners on the starting line and stuff like that. The cool things that actually make it all go, because these cars are complex, and you could have handed that same car that won to 4 different people in the pit, and they would have screwed it up and not won the race. Even though if it was a winning car, because the car isn't as important as people think. And
absolutely,
even last night, like Billy's car in your hand could have potentially won because you would have ran it differently. It's like there's so many variables to that, and that's what makes it cool. Like, Kai Kelly,
that was rad.
Yeah.
That car could have, in somebody else's hands, wouldn't even have qualified. Yeah. But he had the right people behind that car.
Yep.
Of course, there's some badasses on that deal too.
Yeah, his tuner's a bad dude, and Kai was killing it on the tree.
Oh, he was. That's the coolest thing is when you win a race together, when the driver's on it, the tuner's on it, and man, that's a great feeling because everybody's pulling their weight.
Yeah.
When
everyone does their job correctly
Yep.
is awesome. And I was actually listening to your video about you not doing your job correctly, your motivational Monday, and I was like, I felt that. And I felt the pain, like I just let the tuner down a little bit, and he's not mad, but I'm mad that I let him down. This is my team. I'm like,
well, dude, that was one of the, I'll pick on myself. We came down here, we went to Disney. We had a bunch of friends with us at Disney. Barrett was at Disney with us. My dude Happy was with us, and
Jimmy was there.
So we rolled deep, man. And I had nightmares Thursday night of me going red because I knew. I don't know. I knew we had a car to beat.
Yeah, you had a front runner car,
and I'm like, I don't want to screw this up for everyone. You know what I mean? Everybody else is doing their job. We planned our family vacation. We obviously assumed that the car would be together, but it wasn't. So that thing didn't even have pistons in it on Tuesday. And I hopped on an airplane and I left my team, right? I didn't have a choice. I had to go. And the boys and Brad stayed and they got it, they painted it. They did everything in 3 days. So it looked like Charlie, it ran like Charlie, all that stuff. But so when I got to the racetrack, I don't really feel pressure a lot. He never pressures me. But I felt it yesterday. I'm like, I am not screwing this up for us. We're going to win.
Yeah. I was FaceTiming in on you guys the other day, and I was like, Jimmy's like, there's no rods in the motor, showing me around. I'm like, all right. Best of luck. But no rods in a nitrous motor. It's not,
Yeah, that's not uncommon. They put pistons in them between rounds.
Exactly. Yeah, putting that stuff in is pretty normal. Yeah. I've seen James do that enough on their Ultra Street car where it's between rounds, putting a piston in this thing.
It happens like that.
It's normal. It's normal.
Yeah.
I was even joking. I was like, put a turbo on that thing. But then seeing the candles lit, it's like, never mind. David Varner was FaceTiming James last night. He's like, that's right there. The candles lit. You need to see it going down the track one time. You should have put James in it just for a test pass. Just to
I was
watch
joking that when we rolled off for the finals, I was joking to tell Jack Stan to get in there. And if he would have said yes, I would have threw him in it real quick. Back to the team, right? Jack Stan sacrificed. He got to drive Charlie. That's cool. But he sacrificed his time on Thursday so that we would have those laps. Mm-hmm. Jack Stan won with us, right? He won with. We're an army. We win together, and he had a huge part in why we won because we got to make those laps.
Well, there's something cool about seeing your own car go down the track too, because
I've never. I need to watch it. Yeah, it looks like a party.
I've talked to Brella Sala about that because he's like, I'd like to see it. Going through the gears at 10,000 RPM. I got a bell for him too. But it's there's something cool about that, and especially on a car like that, not that many combos like that really run quarter mile to hear that thing buzzing down through there, hitting the lockups and stuff like that.
The lockup sounds cool with the car, but I'd really like to hear it outside the car.
Oh, yeah. I bet that thing at 1,000 feet going by sounded wild.
Yeah. Kevin Nielsen, did you see Kevin's video? Yeah, he sent us that video from down track. It was pretty good.
I'd love to see that thing at World Cup.
Yeah.
That's the plan, man.
We've been talking about it for a while, yeah.
Yeah.
Did it sustain well in quarter mile racing? Because another thing that the 8th mile cars tend not to realize is that shit starts to come apart on the body and stuff. Like Gonzo's car, the bumper was all cracked and the windows were like flexing out of it and stuff.
Yeah, I'll say we tore the bumper up first round of eliminations the first time he ran it. Well, you ran it like 1,000 foot.
Yeah.
And we got back and the front bumper was hanging down.
Yeah.
So it had 2 bumpers that went up, or 2 bolts that went up through the grill, and it actually broke the grill and ripped the bolts out.
1979.
So there was like a 2-inch gap between the front bumper and the body, and we're like, oh boy.
I believe it.
We real quickly drilled like 20 holes in the top of the bumper and ran zip ties up through the grill all the way across, and then it was fine all night. Zip ties for the win.
Yeah, it starts to get scary when you're running a car out the back like that.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah, that air pressure is no joke.
Yeah. I was scared watching Eagle go down the track for the first time.
Right?
It's a lot of power to be running out the back like that.
I know 200's a lot of air. I couldn't imagine 250.
Yeah.
Jeez, oh Pete.
Well, that's what people hate sometimes. Like your more street car guys, they're like, why does everybody run 8th? And it's like, dude, it's that thing's already going 170 mile an hour at the 8th.
Yeah.
Like you're rolling, man, and the wear and tear but quarter mile is awesome. I've never ran one quarter. This is the first time I ever ran one quarter mile, and
besides your 3rd gen, they went 10s.
yeah, my 3rd gen went 10s. Yeah, so this
rolling.
It's a little bit of a difference, and like, dude, I remember when NHRA Pro Stock went 200. Like I was at the racetrack, and going to the 200 mile an hour club was such a big deal. So like my dad always wanted to drive a Pro Stocker, and like, I don't know, man, it meant a lot to me to go 200. Like it really did. Like it sounds really dumb, but
no, it's a cool barrier. It's like that's a real barrier for sure. Yeah. It's cool to be in that club.
Yeah,
You didn't have to go to Bonneville to do it either.
Yeah, you had to go to Bonneville to do it. Yeah.
Although it probably felt like you were at Bonneville out there, like.
Well, it was weird, like going by the 8th mile code, like stay in it.
Yeah, you have to like tell yourself like don't live.
Yeah,
don't
a little bit.
Does it feel as far as it does from the starting line?
Yes,
dude. Standing on the starting line, like you get to the 8th mile and you're like, all right, he'll be at the quarter any second, and then you're like waiting. And you're like, gosh, he's still going. You're like, is he ever gonna get to the end?
I always get mad at my tuner because, like, he's tuned so many freaking cars. He'll watch, like, he'll film, and then as soon as I get to like 300 feet, he turns around and starts walking away. He's like,
I'm bad about that too. Like if I'm filming on the starting line, like once you get to like the 330, you see my phone like start going down because I'm like. Yeah, it's boring. After that.
Well, as a chassis guy, like your job's done there. Like it's just hold
just
on,
along for the ride. Yeah. Once you get up in high gear, it's just along for the ride.
Yeah. Especially on my car, it's like the G-force is just. There's no more.
Yeah.
There's no more to sprinkle in at that back end. It's like a nitrous car where it's all in. We don't have more to put in. We leave on all of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way it has to be.
That's cool. It was just fun, man. It was a great event, and I'm glad too that he got to sit down with us because like a lot of times I get far too much credit, right? Like I just drive the thing. Like what he does is he maintenances that whole car. I'm barely allowed to touch. I'm allowed to weld on it, but
I'm real meticulous. So
he's
I'm
very,
like,
very
nobody's touching my engine.
And like to build it
until you're on a time constraint, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'll say if we're on a time constraint and there's like 3 people working on it, I'm like. Oh gosh, a bolt's getting left loose.
Something's wrong somewhere. Yeah. Jimmy's over there tightening something. I got the brakes. Don't worry.
You're getting desperate when you let Jimmy Dale work on it.
Yeah, exactly. He was over there FaceTiming me. I'm like, you're not working on that thing, right? You're not allowed to touch it. Yeah. Well, you're kind of the face of the operation, I would say. You're more forward facing, more in videos, more creating content of the brand.
Yeah.
I've seen you do some chassis stuff and talking videos, but it's definitely more you. So businesses kind of need that as well.
Sure. Yeah, I don't really care to be on camera. I'm a lot more comfortable than I was. But yeah, 5 years ago, before we started our YouTube, I hated being on camera. Mm-hmm. Now, just like from being filmed every day on YouTube, you get used to it. But I mean, I still don't care to be in the spotlight.
But you guys are such a good example of what I tell people in your position all the time. I'm like, you have free ability to make content and post it and advertise all your products. It's like the perfect. You guys are like the perfect example of that. Like your YouTube videos are your advertising.
I'm gonna send Coop some gifts.
Yeah.
I'll need to put something in there. I got the top fuel piston from Mr. Clay Milliken over
that's
there.
cool.
That's like a cool one because that
cool.
shit friggin'
It's little.
10,000. It's only 500 cubic inch.
I know.
They're small motors.
Yeah, I'll say it's little compared to our pistons.
Yeah.
I'll send you a big piston.
10,000 horsepower on that deal. Yeah, I mean, nice healthy amount. I can't believe it's used though. It looks brand new.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, you're giving me a new piston? He's like, oh no, it's used.
Yeah, they only run them for like 10 passes.
Yeah.
That's it.
But all right, we're back after a slight little bobble there. But how awesome is the Christmas tree race in general? Like the feel there and the people and the crowds and stuff. It's like, it doesn't feel like your standard race. It feels very event. It feels very like festival almost.
Yeah, I felt like my little boy loves Monster Jam, so I felt like I was more at like a Monster Jam-ish style thing. Like it was more about the entertainment, which I think drag racing needs that. Like, man, that's one of the reasons. Like I got out after I did my burnout, I'd let it roll, and I'd rev it up like 4 or 5 times. Like we're there to put on a show, and I think a lot of drag racers focus so much on the racing that like they forget like without these people in the stands, we're racing for whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's way better with people there.
Yeah, racetracks don't stay open if there isn't people in the stands. I'll say racetracks don't make money off racers.
Yeah.
They make money off spectators.
You got to put on a show. I mean, that's like when Billy broke in the finals, there was zero chance I wasn't running that thing out. Like those people stayed there all day. I don't care if we have a nitrous car. Like they paid to be there. I'm sending that thing quarter mile, right? Like we got to give them something. They were there all day.
Well, like what Garrett said too, like this is like for fun. There's one class. There's some downtime in between because there's just the one class. It's not like they got test and tuners, but that's it. Like we are the show. There's not 12 classes and all these no qualifying. It was right into it off the trailer. So it's more just like putting on a show, like you're saying, like Monster Jam. Like all the drivers know it's for fun. Like no one's really that cutthroat there. Yeah, there's some money to win, a cool trophy, but man, they might need some classes next year for fast guys.
Yeah, Cletus, Garrett at the end of the racetrack, he's like, I'll put a rule in that if you have over a 700 cubic inch nitrous engine, you have to have a bigger tree than everybody else.
Well, you guys have the length of car. You could have easily put a bigger tree on that thing.
Like when we're like 6 foot tree, we're like, that's a big tree. But then you see a 6 foot tree and you're like, oh, it's really not that big.
No.
Yeah. You're
Not
like,
bad at all.
yeah, it's like it was the length of our roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very long roof line.
But
So on your business too, you've switched from less builds, right, to more parts.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I do feel a little worry as somebody who, has a caged car and has used chassis shops of like all these chassis shops seem to not want to build cars anymore and they're all wanting to switch to parts. We need people
Yeah, we need
building
both.
chassis still.
Yeah. Well, there's still a lot of people out there building chassis. It's the hard part's just finding them because most of these guys are like in a pole barn like this at their house. But there's a lot of talented guys out there in pole barns. So we're just trying to focus on supplying those guys, with parts and information to build stuff in their garage. So
That makes sense too.
Yeah.
Arm them with what they need to actually
Exactly.
build a good chassis.
Yeah.
Versus you
Like-
guys doing all the labor yourselves.
Yeah, yeah. We've built a lot of cars, and we tried for a long time. It's if you're doing it in your garage at home on the side, you can make some killer extra money, like fund your whole racing program. But to actually make a business, like doing chassis work, is tough because like we've never worked out of a pole barn. We've always like rented a commercial building. We just bought a building 2 years ago, but for the first 8 years we were in business, we always rented. And so like when you have a bunch of overhead, it's hard to make money doing chassis work. It's just so time intensive.
Yeah.
Well, then, like a lot of times people get mad when like now we really don't work on a lot. Like right now, there's only 2 customer cars in our shop. One's Billy's Camaro, and our other's David Farlow. And like they're homies, they're people that we love. Like, and we have such a long customer list of people that we need to take care of. You know, that we've built a car for, or that we've worked on for years. Like, I'm not going to tell those guys no. Like, we're going to keep working with them, but our books are closed. We don't need anybody else. Like, we're lucky.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to go through that process of, hey, are you going to pay me? And like, I don't even divide bills out anymore. It's just, hey, man, this is how many hours I worked on it this week. They don't even question it because they've worked with us for so long. I don't want that headache again, you know, of like interviewing the customer and trying to really go in depth on bills. It takes way too long, man. So yeah, it was a good change for us, and it's a scalable change. You know, building race cars is not scalable, but like if you do it like Bickle or like Haas or like some of the OG guys, they were building pretty much the same car over and over and over again. So you break that car up into small bite-sized pieces, and now you can train 2 guys to do the tube work, 2 guys to hang the body, and then they're going to do that process over and over and over again. You can make money like that. But like the cars you like, they have character, they have soul, and they're different every time. So there's not a way to like streamline that. And then when you say yes to a project, man, you're saying yes to 6 months of your life or 7 months of your life or whatever that time is. It's so intimate, you know.
And you're marrying a customer.
Yeah,
absolutely,
exactly. Yep.
You're talking to them every day, every other day. Like, it's just really exhausting. And we tried to scale it. Like, at one point we had 5 guys building cars. We were probably 4 years into our business.
Yeah, we had like 12 cars being built in the shop at one time.
Oh, wow.
It's the most miserable
like
I've
jamming.
ever been.
And like we were like not making money. Yeah. Like every week when payroll came out, we were like sweating, and we're like, this ain't working. Like we're busting our butt and not barely turning a profit.
Yeah.
So we're like, this isn't the way.
And I think that could have been cleaned up and we could have done better. But like, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, I don't struggle with depression or anxiety or, you know, like that's never been a part of my personality, which I'm really lucky in that, right? But like, there was a time, and he'll tell you, like, I was depressed. Like,
well, when you struggle to make payroll and you're like, we can't pay Grant, in 10 years of business, we've never ever missed payroll, not once. But there has been weeks where we didn't take a paycheck because there wasn't any money left over after we paid our guys.
Yeah.
And like, that'll give you some gray hair. You know, that's some stress.
That's
yeah. So
that's definitely scary. I can only imagine as a small business owner to be like, oh, well, shit.
And, you know, we both got mortgages. He's got kids. I got one on the way now, but yeah, he had it a lot. He had it way worse.
yeah. Well,
now you guys are better situation.
Yeah, we're a little more comfortable now. So.
Well, that like back then, man, like to kind of go back to the story of us starting, like when I met Brad, man, like if you follow us at all, you know, like Jesus is really important to us, and like if you don't feel like that, if you're watching, that's cool. Like I know what he's done in our lives, and I can't not say anything about it. Like I'd be selfish to not say something.
Yeah.
And like when I met Brad wasn't like. He wasn't like super involved with Jesus. Like he wasn't sure.
I was Catholic.
He was Catholic. Yeah. He's a recovering Catholic.
I grew up Catholic as well.
Yeah, I went to church on Christmas and Easter.
So like when I met Brad, like I really heard God in my head tell me like, you're going to go into business with this guy. And I'm like, well, that's dumb because I just met him. And then like I got enough courage up to tell my wife like, hey, you know that skinny kid that I met at the racetrack? We're going to start a business with him. She's like, you're an idiot. Because I just got like the best welding job in the area. We just bought our first house, just had our first daughter, Zaya. And, you know, everything was good, right? Like house with the fence, got the car, got the kid, and it was all good, right? Like, why are we going to rock the boat? And then I couldn't get off this thought. So I called him one night and like, hey, I think we could build some of the baddest stuff in the world. And he's like, I think so too. And then I had a dream that I was standing on the edge of this cliff, and I kept looking at this water below me, and I ended up tripping and falling because I kept like looking. And then the dream fast forwarded, and I went back and I ran and I jumped off that cliff, and I woke up, and it was kind of like God was telling me, like, you're gonna end up there. You choose how you do it. You can run and leap, and we'll have a great time. Or you're gonna end up in that water, and you're gonna fall down this hill. So I told my wife that, and she's like, I think you're an idiot, but I trust what God has to say. And we started, and like I told God that, like, I'm not going to go into business with somebody that's not a Christian, like, because we're going to do weird stuff that doesn't make sense, that the world's going to be like, you can't do it that way. Like, and about 6 months later, I guess Brad drank the Kool-Aid, and it's so much of that, like, of everything that we do is based that me and him are equally yoked. Like, we may be different in a lot of different ways. Like, he's way different than I am. And that's part of our strength is I'm different than Brad. But our foundation is the same. And, 10 years of business, we have fought. That's part of it. We're like brother. Well,
We're like married couple.
yeah, we are. We're married. But we really don't fight that much. And, like, it's really like it lasts about 5 minutes. And then one of us is like, hey, man, I was an a-hole, or, normally it's him. Cause
I'm a lot more stubborn.
but
sometimes you need to be stubborn.
Yeah.
yeah, and
Sometimes you can compromise.
Yeah.
well, you got to have people that push you. Like, I know, like, if I do a good job, Brad's going to tell me I did a good job. And it really means something.
Yeah.
And, like, if I fell short and I screwed it up, or
I'm going to tell you too.
Yeah. So he keeps me in check, But I'm the one that's like, listen, man, this is where we're going. I don't know how we're going to get there. I have zero clue. But that's where we're going. You figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, we're going there, and I'm driving the car that way.
Yeah.
But you got to figure it out. And it works, man.
Yeah.
Like, and we have a team of people that are kind of the same way. Like, I'm the one that's cast the vision for the most part. Now he's kind of getting in the vision casting, which is really fun. Now both of us are like throwing stuff way out there.
Yeah. It's fun though. We're always like, it's crazy how much we think alike. We're very different, but we're like really always on the same page.
Well, now that you guys kind of make parts too, there's like a creative, different element to a lot of it too, and
yeah,
it's pretty cool to be in that realm a little bit, where it's like putting stuff out to people and seeing how they use it and that kind of stuff. But even you talking about all the faith and starting the business through faith is really cool, and I'm sure that resonates with a lot of people. Even some people that don't realize a lot of people are like, oh, luck or this or that, and it's like I think you're looking for a different word,
Yeah.
and they're just reluctant to use that word.
Well, I think a lot of it, like, this is the best analogy I could give you, is like our shop. I love our shop. I can't believe we own it. It's beautiful. I love it. But if all those parts that are in there and all those pieces to manufacture rad parts, if we put a bomb in there and that bomb went off, would race cars come out? No. So, like, I don't know, man. Like, this deal's it's too complicated for a bomb to go off and people come out, right? So, like, I think people have that void in their soul, and they don't really know what it is. But, like, I know the contentment that I carry in my life, and again, like, I would be selfish not to give that contentment away, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you watch us on camera and you came to the race last night, you saw the same people, right? Like, we're just trying to give joy away. I want joy to go, right? Like, the race car is the tool. Like, when we started racing Charlie, I believe in prayer, right? We put our hands on the car. We were at War of the Woods, which we haven't been back since. But I love Jeff Thomas. This racetrack's scary. We prayed over the car. We're like, man, I pray that just the race car takes us to places we never thought we would go. And it's done that.
Yeah. I would say this is probably somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just can't deny it. Like, you can just look back from like the very beginning, like Jack Van, like the way we met Jack Vanover, and then he instantly was like, I want you to build us a car. Just like stuff like that, like over and over and over again, that like you could say, oh, we're really lucky. You're like, there's no way. There's way too many like lucky breaks to like over and over and over
him being
again.
consistent about like, no, you're gonna build me a car, and you guys still saying no is almost like,
we've just had so many people like, you know, that we've met, and so many instances where we were just like fortunate and really blessed that you're like,
it's not a coincidence.
It's not a coincidence. Yeah, like I was like, God is definitely on our side. I can say that.
Yeah, I mean, my personal experience this year, you know, I had I guess my son was born in last December, just turned 1. But all of a sudden, I don't know, me and my wife were like, we should really start going to church. Started going to church and got connected, because I grew up Catholic as well. And it's not the same.
It's boring, dry. You get nothing out of it. You leave there and you feel the same as before you went.
Yeah, it feels kind of like
it's dry.
Yeah, almost like not culty, but almost like not like
There's
it's
no
taken something
there,
and turned it into something else.
Right.
And then you go to like just a Christian church, non-denominational type of something like that, and you're like, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
And not to really take anything away from Catholicism, like I grew up Italian Catholic, like it's just normal. But it just didn't resonate. It didn't resonate with my wife, and you know, she's gotten a ton out of it, and she's become happier and closer with God, and it's been really good for her this last year. So
well, I can tell you, we can both speak to say, like, if it wasn't for, you know, God, that we probably both wouldn't still be married as much as we spend money in race car and make our wives mad. And then also just like being in business, like having a business partner is hard. You know, like you're trusting somebody with your living, you're trusting them with thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? Like that's one thing, like I never have to, you know, like we could have 10 grand sitting in the safe at the shop, and I never have to worry that he's in there skimming off of it. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to worry about it because I trust him. You know what I mean? And so, like, just being grounded in that and you know.
So many good things.
So much easier way to live.
Yeah. So many good things in this world explode due to greed and like burn down and disappear, and just because of simple greed. And, you know, I know people that they ruined a business that was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and in profit, and over assuming one person was stealing like 10 grand.
Yeah.
I was like, the business is gone now. You guys were making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you accused him of $10,000 theft that he said he didn't do, and showed the receipts, and the whole thing exploded because of it. And it's like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And it happens all the freaking time over like the littlest amounts of money end up ruining a whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, it can't be about like, you have to make, like, we have to make money, like, right? Like that.
You got to live.
You have to live. But like, whatever, man. Like, that's not the central goal of what we do, is to be profitable. That's just, you know, it's not. And, you know, dude, like, if I need something or he needs something, we'll figure it out, you know, because we're in this together. Like, and that's kind of always been the attitude. And, yeah, man, we're lucky. Like, it's a lot easier now. It's not, you know, I think my gray hairs are going the other way, you know. But really, if I look internally, like, yeah, we made some good business decisions. We went the parts direction, you know, all that stuff. But like, for me, it's just becoming more grounded and understanding and seeing, like, you know, dude, when you pull in a racetrack in Florida and we don't really know that many people, and your pit is surrounded by awesome people that want to buy T-shirts from you, like, that's humbling. Like, that's a humbling experience.
Yeah.
We're here for that, right? Like, that's awesome. Like, let's do more of that.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there was kids that didn't know any of the cars that were just fired up to see that thing go down the track because it's freaking cool.
Nitrous is the sexiest way.
As Jimmy Dale says, there's no sexier way to get on the racetrack.
And then you see a freaking jet car go down, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, jet cars are rad.
Jet cars are pretty cool.
Yeah, jet cars are pretty cool. It's cool that they bring those out to that deal, because that, like, I don't know how much experience you guys have with jet cars, but you feel that like in your chest when it's like bumping in. It's like
they're sick.
Yeah, jet cars and nitro cars are.
I think the
rad.
coolest car on the planet, and we will own one day if is I want a fuel altered so bad. The fuel altered's like a legit like short, not a funny car without the body, like a legit short wheelbase fuel altered. Have you ever seen one of them run?
I believe I had when we were in Indy for Cletus and Cars. They had
fuel altereds.
Yeah.
So I grew up going to Indy with my dad, the U.S. Nationals. They would all back then. They did a great job of having exhibitions. They don't do it as much anymore. So they'd always have wheelie cars and jet cars, and then they'd always have 8 invite only, fuel altereds. And one of them that would be there was the Winged Express. This thing was like 90-inch wheelbase. Somebody on here could probably tell me exactly what it might be longer than that, but as a kid, it looked short, and it has a steering wheel out of a school bus. It is huge, and it was like the OG car. Like they just kept making it better.
Yeah,
and that thing was so sketchy. And if it made it to the quarter under power, miracle. You know what I mean? It was the coolest thing to watch. Like, we need more fuel altereds, period. Like, they're so sick. Nitro burning Hemi right in front of you, like, with the old school mask on. It's the best. They're so sick.
Well, that, lends the question of how you guys have watched racing change and evolve. And, like, it was big. I feel like no prep has kind of changed a lot as it is. And no time 28's prep is now seems like it's on the rise, but it's probably going to die pretty quick because of people coming out with, blower cars that make 6,000 horsepower. And it's like, that might end a class pretty quick. And that's the struggle with classes is somebody comes in with a lot and then no one else ends up showing up anymore.
Well, that's the beauty of classes like what John Sears runs, like Ultra Street, X275, Limited Street, is they have horsepower and weight, combos to keep everybody in check. So really, I mean, like the no time 28 stuff, it's Pro 275 with the clocks off.
Yeah.
I mean?
And they take the weight out of it.
So, if you want to run that class, just know you're going to run Pro 275 cars, So
It just is what it is.
Yeah, and that's kind of, but to get back to like no prep, we're seeing the same stuff in no prep is now you have like almost Pro 275 cars running no prep.
Yeah.
And it has gotten really fast.
Well, like Frankenstein, I mean, that thing
that's a rocket ship.
That's a hot rod right there.
Hot rod, yeah.
And they got the right team behind it. Like, that thing gets down when
fast.
they tell it to.
It's fast. It's real fast.
And even getting down on those no prep. And no prep's pretty vague, in my opinion, as well. Saying no prep.
I think they've gotten sloppier. Like, they used to, like, really, like, scrape and wash the track. And now it's like they just don't touch it. And they're just like, whatever prep's left on it from the week before. And like we've gone to some races and we're like, there's still glue out here. Like
if you line up to the left.
This is not no prep, But it is what it is.
Hey, just line up to the left and you're good.
But overall, I think no prep's really good it's been really good for the sport. Like everything Street Outlaws did for the sport, I think it brought a lot of new people in. So that was really good. And then no prep, like it's just another form of racing. I thought it was really cool. Like the 28-10-5 slick racing was dead, and it's
Mickey
really
wasn't making any of them tires now. They're making a lot of them.
It's made a huge comeback from no prep to, I mean, you got backside, you got front side, and now you got some prepped 28 slick stuff popping up. You got PDRA Super Street plus the like shootouts that like Corey and them are doing. I'm like, dude, the 28-10-5 slick stuff is hot right now.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's a cool deal. I mean, I was talking with Nick Plugnac, and, he does a ton of that stuff, too. He had some bad luck last night, as some do, but...
That was kind of wild what happened to him. I didn't know what he broke, and then Brad told me this morning, like, that poor guy.
Yeah.
That was...
Freak accident.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, breaking the crank deal off there.
Yeah.
The mandrel.
On the fuel pump. Yeah.
Yeah, the fuel pump was so good. I'm like, hey, that sucks.
Yeah. I've seen Victor do it on their Super before too. Same deal.
Yeah.
Broke the mandrel right off that thing. But yeah, I mean, the racing is interesting because even, you guys were saying it took you 6 months to build a car, and that's not a long time. But if you start building a car today, it might not fit a class that well in 6 months because of how fast some things are evolving.
Yeah, I mean, that happened to us with the no prep stuff. We were really chasing it in the beginning because when we first put Charlie Brown together, like we had just sold our white Mustang radial car, and then we were like, we want to put a no prep car together because the radial stuff was at the time was really like dying off. Like there was really no prepped racing local to us anymore. Like it was completely gone. It had all gone to all the local races within 3 hours of us were all no prep.
Yeah.
Frontside no prep was hot.
Which tracks are your normal like go-tos?
So Edgewater is the closest track to us. It's
Okay.
like 30 minutes from us. It's a super nice facility. We're really fortunate to have it that close and to know the owners. We put on a bunch of races there, and
Yeah, they treat us.
they treat us really well. So, but
kind of like your Brady thing, basically.
But we're really fortunate because we're central. We're in northern Kentucky, right across the river from Cincinnati. I think we added up one day. We have like 20 or more tracks within 3 hours of us.
Oh, wow.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So, like, we have a ton of drag strips around us.
We got like 3 2 within 3
Dude,
hours.
We're super central.
Granted, one
like,
of them's BMP. So.
Between, like,
you're good.
Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky, like, there is a ton of drag
Yeah.
strips. There's a ton of drag strips in Kentucky.
Yeah.
A ton.
But a lot of them, like, we have seasons up there. So to keep the tracks nice and the surface nice, that's pretty tough. So, like, and radial guys typically are kind of Madonnas. Like, they want that perfect racetrack. They want to go out and set a personal best every time. Like, the car's set up on kill and they don't want to take it off. So that was like a big, like our local track, Edgewater. Like, if they radial prep it, it pops the concrete. Like, and the concrete's just not that great. So, like,
It's just old.
It's just
Yeah.
old. So, like, it's actually really not that great for the racetrack for them to radial prep it.
Yeah, because it's hard on the track. Yeah.
So it's like when no prep came about, like that fixed a lot of stuff. And to your guys' point, like it's really not that bad, but it did. Now, like last night, like we had to have downtime, so prepping the track was no big deal. But there's a lot of downtime in a radial race. When you go to a slick 28 race,
There's no doubt. If
there's
they
no
got like
downtime.
5 classes, there's no downtime. It's constant cars going on the track. Boom, 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 boom.
That's what like
Yeah.
NPK has always had going for it.
Right.
It's like you can
It's-
sit there and watch the whole race.
Right from a spectator's aspect, it's awesome.
Yeah. It's
There's-
hard to watch like ducks race.
yeah,
It is. It's like
It's-
like
you gotta
I'll
be
turn the
diehard.
live feed on and I'll be like tractors again. I'm like I feel like every time I turn it on, it's tractors.
Yeah, and it's hard to watch, and that's one of the flaws of drag racing in general. It's
Yeah.
hard to watch. Like
Yeah.
even if you watch like a football game, like it's over in 2 hours. Like
Right.
you're done. Like you sat there, you watched it. Like drag racing, you got to be like, you start watching at noon and you're
Yeah.
done watching at midnight. It's
Yep.
it's a full day affair.
Yep. But when we were building the car, like we put it together and we were like, oh, we only need to go like if we can go 490s, like we'll be a
That's it.
front runner, And so like we put the motor we put in it. It was a 598 big block Chevy, like nothing super fancy. And we came out. We went 5.0s pretty quickly, and then it took us. We kind of hit a wall, and then by the end of the year, we finally ended up going 490s with it. We ended up actually going 485 with that motor. Was the best we went.
all the
but
stuff, yeah.
did we win any races the first year?
Yeah, we won like 2.
Two.
Yeah, Cheese, our buddy Jason Waterman, I don't know if you know Cheese or not, but when we
The
put
first. Oh, we won a Thornhill.
yeah.
Yeah.
We won something else.
We won. Did we win a Thornhill? We won a Thornhill twice that year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's
did
like,
we
you're not
win
going to win
But did we
anything
win
this year."
anywhere else?
I don't remember.
I don't know if we won anywhere but
We-
Thornhill.
Yeah, we didn't have a great year. I mean, it was all right, but yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't nothing. Like the first half of the year, we struggled bad. Like
we were just
to get
figuring
the
it
car
out.
figured out on no prep, and like we had some issues that we didn't realize were going on in the front end with the stock suspension and
Yeah.
and all that front end travel, like just some overlooked things. And
Yeah.
that was my fault, but we just bolted parts on and was like, it should be fine. But
I'm complaining to him I'm like
he kept telling me the car, this thing drives terrible, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's just because you're on a slick and no prep, and you're used to being on radial prep on a radio.
shut up.
I'm like, it's just it's going to drive bad, you know? And after a couple races, he's like, dude, there's something wrong with this race car.
Yeah, I'm like, it's trying to kill me, bro.
Yeah. It would like, as soon as it would hit a bump and it would like dart.
Yeah.
And we couldn't figure out what it's doing. And finally I figured out an issue in the front end and we fixed it. And it was first time out we won.
Yeah.
Yeah, after I fixed the front end. Yeah.
It's funny you guys are talking about that because last night I'm having some issue in my front end where at like 1,100 feet, all of a sudden the thing's darting like out of nowhere. It's just like, I don't know if it's a mile an hour thing or something. Maybe having the tree on it didn't help, but like all of a sudden it just starts darting back and forth. And I couldn't even run it out last night. I had to keep lifting because not wadding that thing up at 170.
It could be something in the front end. And I'll say the two things that I would look at is if it's towed out at all. If they're towed out at all, it makes them real darty. Mm-hmm. The wheels need to be preferably towed in like a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch throughout the whole front end travel.
Yeah.
And then also check and see how much caster it has. So that was the problem with our car is we didn't realize that we were no prep, so we had 6.5 inches of front end travel. Gave it all the travel. While at ride height the caster was fine, but at 6 inches of front end travel, it had 0 caster in it. So what happened is like you'd hit a bump and it'd be like a shopping cart wheel, like where it would be like, brrr, like, the front tires would kind of do that. And so we'd hit a bump and you're on no prep and the car would like try to change lanes. And so once I added a bunch of caster to it, then he's like, the car drives great now.
Interesting.
So it's just something we overlooked because I checked it at ride height.
Well, you wouldn't learn that until.
But I didn't realize that the way that the G body and S10 factory suspension is really bad. It's actually really bad front suspension.
They did a terrible job.
Well, Mustang really spoils you, or even a Camaro is like way better. Like the G body and S10 front suspension is terrible.
Chevy kind of sucks with suspension.
Yeah, it's really bad. So,
the top AR's like this, the bottom AR's like this.
Yeah, it's just the geometry's really bad. But so like at ride height, it had like 7 degrees of caster, but at 6 inches of front end travel all the way out, it had 0. So I didn't realize it was losing caster as the front end traveled. Just didn't realize it until I really, really dug into the front end.
Well, even, now so many people have learned so much about no prep and there's so many different things being tried and done that the education over time evolves. And, now you see people doing their front end alignment and the thing's jacked all the way up. Yeah. And they're doing the alignment like that.
Yeah. But he was just like, make this thing drive like our Mustang. So I did. And
then we started winning races.
Then we started winning races. But even after the first year, like, we got outran multiple times by like twin turbo big blocks, twin turbo Hemis, and like freight trained. Like they put 30, 40 mile an hour on us to the 8th, and we're like, okay, we need more horsepower. So we actually the motor we ran in it last year was in Heath, our partner on the car. It was in his '69 Camaro that we built for him, and we were going to go run LDR with the '69 Camaro, and the car wasn't finished yet. It was just a roller with the motor sitting in it. And he's like, just pull that motor out and put it in Charlie Brown. We're like, okay. Yeah. So we just pulled the motor out, pushed the Camaro to the side, dropped it in Charlie Brown, and went racing. And as soon as we dropped that motor in there, like last year and this year, we dominated in no prep. Like we won a lot of races.
Yeah.
And so that putting that big motor in there was a good move.
But even like, the no prep stuff and even like last night is nice. You show up on Friday and you're done by Saturday. Like last night was great. Like you show up on Friday morning, not even 2 o'clock and you're home.
Oh, dude, that was one of the big appeals for us for going no prep racing because we were racing like the radial, like John Sears stuff. The RTRA stuff at the time. And it was like, you get there on Wednesday and you're there till Sunday and you're
now at LDR exhausted. It's like you show up on Friday and you leave next Friday.
Yeah.
It's like,
shit. It's exhausting. So we're like, that was like, we were looking forward to like 1-day races.
Yeah. It's super nice. I'm started to like that a lot more. If I have to travel too far, maybe not, but
at first we didn't like off the trailer because we were so used to getting 5 qualifying passes, but now we actually really like it because like you show up and we're like straight to business. Like let's get this over with.
Like World Cup is long. Like you're there. you're there for a long
Well, I think
time.
if we do a World Cup, we'll probably maybe have somebody take the rig, and then Brad and I just fly it on Friday. And we're like, all right, let's go to work, boys. We're here.
That's what I did. Me and Garrett flew in. I flew in with Garrett this year just to watch, and it was great. We flew in, landed, took the rental car. Everything's already set up there. They're cooking. I'm like, oh, dang, this is nice.
Well, like Doug Cook made a post the other day, and I'm like, I couldn't like it enough when he was talking about, we should qualify Friday, race on Sunday. Like, I if you're a race promoter, you're watching this, like, take note of that. Like, we have families. Like, I love drag racing, but I don't want to be there that long.
2 days is enough.
2 days is plenty, man. I want to go back to my family. I just, like, we're selfish enough for wanting to go race at this level. Like, dude, do everything you can to get us in and get us out. I don't want to be there that long. Like, I see these people a lot. I love the people we see, back to the people aspect. But, like, we're going to see them again this month. We don't need that much time together. Like,
and we don't need 5 qualifiers.
No, man.
I'll say
You shouldn't.
Dude, I think we should get 2 qualifiers on Friday, 3 if there's time, and then first round elimination starts like 9 a.m. Saturday morning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Let's get
right
this
into
deal
the
done.
eliminations. Let's get it over
You
with.
should not need that many qualifiers.
No.
If you need more than like 3, you gotta
Yeah, you missed.
Put her back in the shop.
Exactly. Go back to the shop. Yeah.
Well,
Figure
I
it out.
think back to the no prep thing, I think, like, in the beginning, like, everybody liked off the trailer because they're like, it gives everybody a chance. Well, like, dude, we don't need a pass. Like, on no
I don't know.
prep.
I still think it does like level the playing field out a little bit because that fast guy could
whiff
go up
it.
there and whiff it first round. You know what I mean? A lot of upsets do happen in no prep, because a fast guy goes up there and whiffs. You know what I mean? But and I think in like radial, like could you imagine if you ran
Radial
like
stuff off the
radial
trailer.
stuff off the trailer? How many upsets there would be first round?
Oh yeah.
Radio
Dude.
stuff off the trailer would be
Would
tight.
be awesome. Yeah, because.
I think the no prep, though, like, the guys that are struggling to get there, like, they need laps anyway. So
Yeah,
now,
that's
now
true.
they're like,
Yeah.
it costs a lot to go test. So it's like, man, like, give them some laps. So, because think of how many passes we made in the white car.
Yeah.
Like, Charlie's getting up there now, but, like, we would go to a duck race and we'd make.
That's true. I guess if you look at it on that side of it, like even if you ran it off the trailer, the guys that have more money and more time have more time and money to go test. You know what I mean? So they're more likely to be more prepared for first round, whereas the guy that has a normal 9 to 5 can't test his car that much, so he's less prepared for first round. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely lends to that a little bit because even Garrett was talking about for his no prep deal, off the trailer, no testing, no prep, no water burnouts, like they were talking like nothing.
Yeah.
And that's tough, and that lends to the all-wheel drive cars a lot.
For sure. Yeah.
I don't know why.
I'm real
no prep
interested to
guys
see
are-
that shootout. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some homies of that. Like,
Yeah. I can tell you that them rear-wheel drive cars are fast.
Yeah. And they're not like you put Joey in charge and like Joey is a competitor. Like, he doesn't care if he likes you, doesn't like you, doesn't matter. Like, he's gonna pick a good list
Because
And,
he's
like,
so competitive.
He's so competitive. Yeah. So he's already done a great job. Like, but that's something I do. Like, a backside car is way different than a front side car, and like, there's people that tagged us for that. Like, we don't deserve that. We don't race backside stuff. I'm not saying we couldn't figure it out. We could, but there's already been guys that have put in a lot of work and have done that.
That are
and-
really good at it.
That are really good. You don't pick us. Like, we're not.
Yeah.
We could do it, but they should get it.
Yeah,
you know?
Joey's probably got like a book that he takes out, like, backside. Like,
Yeah, 'cause
and
it's a
sets his
different race
car
car.
up for that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's dialed in for any surface, it seems.
Well, even he said, like we know Joey a bit, and like Joey hasn't raced something like that in a while. So he's right now, that man's probably tested to get ready because he really hasn't raced backside a lot.
Yeah.
But like Ryan Mitchell is one of the most impressive people in no prep to me. Like, his car, the poor thing, man. We got to do
It's
something.
a tool, but man, it's rough.
And the Mitchells, man, they're just Ryan and Megan are so incredible. Like, we're so lucky to be a part of their program. Like, I love them so much. But that dude, like, He just wants to drag race. Doesn't matter what the surface is.
Yeah.
What it'd be like, hey, Ryan,
impressive.
we're gonna race on dirt this week. You're like, all right, man, I'm gonna get some paddle tires.
Yeah.
He does not give a crap. It is awesome. So he's a great pick because like I'm not gonna say what he's gonna do, but he's got some ideas. Like,
And he'll be fast.
and he'll be fast, and he'll be prepared, and like. That's a hard dude to bet against. Joey's a hard dude to bet against.
Well, there's a lot of people like they blow the whole rear end, like clean out the car, and a lot of people be like, oh damn, I'm out, and like there's some people that are like on the phone trying to figure it out before they're even back to the pit, and like there's a difference in those two people, and I found myself in both situations many a times where I'm like, that's the end of it, but then
back to the Army that you race with. Like, dude, we were at Norwalk 3 years ago racing Ultra Street. We hung the rods out of it on Friday night. We had first round on Saturday morning. I called Martin Conley. Our spare motor was at BTR, which we were in Norwalk. BTR's in Kentucky. Martin drove to BTR, picked up our motor, then brought it to Northern Kentucky. One of our other buddies, Brad Arnold, grabbed it, drove up. He got to Norwalk at 1 a.m. We swapped engines, and we were ready for first round the next day.
That's awesome.
Like, we don't quit, right? Yeah. Like, we figured it out. We went out first round. It didn't pan out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. But if you're not willing to put in the extra work, like, that's, like money you can't take it out of the equation, unfortunately. Like, drag racing is expensive. But you got to have a ridiculous work ethic and a ridiculous sense of like the glass is half full. Like,
well, if you just look at the most successful drag racers in history, you look at like the John Force, the Stevie Fast, the Martin Conleys, like you can go on and on. It's like those dudes Bob Glidden, those dudes didn't have money. They just were pretty smart and outworked everybody. Yeah. They had no quit,
and they
no stop
the
in them. And then like the thing about drag racing is like you go out and you win a couple races. Now people will start helping you. You know what I mean? Like companies want to get on board. You win more races. Oh, now this rich guy over here gets on board. And like that's how you work your way up from nothing. Is like. You don't have to have the money. You just got to have a little bit of talent and a lot of hard work.
There's the two mindsets. The I can't afford this or how can I afford this?
Exactly.
And then you figure out how to afford it after. But even like Brett, I've gotten to know Brett LaSala really well, and people that work around him are like, I think he's psychotic. Like he doesn't stop working on the car. Like he gets.
That's how you got to be.
He's immediately pulling the converter apart or immediately doing a gear change or bar changes, and like no matter how good or bad it does, he's changing something. And
he looks at logs like every night. Like he takes his laptop home and he looks at.
Well, if you want to be a front runner in whatever class you're racing in, you got to eat, sleep, and breathe it. You got to outwork everybody else. It's no different than that. What I mean, it's a little bit different than sports. You don't have to be physically talented, but it's the same. You know what I mean? Like if you're the guy, if you're not out there getting up every morning and training, lifting weights, eating right, you're not going to perform out on the field. It's the same way in drag racing. If you're not at night looking at logs, seeing where you can improve, if you're not in the shop every day working on your car, maintenance it, trying to improve it, when you get to the racetrack, you're not going to be a front runner. Like you can tell the people that when they show up to the racetrack, they were prepared. They made a lot of laps, spent a lot of time in the shop, and it shows.
Well, the races are won in the shop.
Absolutely,
they are won before you even roll that thing out of the box.
Yeah,
and you show up and you see somebody jack it up, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm doing this, that," and it's like,
that should have already been done.
Yeah, it's like this is a weird time to put suspension limiters on it. But I mean, hey man, I get it. Sometimes we don't have time, but man, I don't know. I mean, if you don't show up like ready to win, and even if you don't show up with like enough to win, like I don't have enough nitrous bottles to even make it to the finals. Yeah. It's like, well.
Yeah.
You already know you're not winning.
Before you started.
I've been there too. It's like, oh shit, like I don't even have enough to be, if I make it to the finals, I don't even got enough with me. I don't have enough bags of ice or something.
Yeah. The other thing I see people struggle with a lot is they always want to race in classes they don't belong in. You know what I mean? Like, you don't show up to run Pro 275 with a Mustang that you drove to the track in. You know what
I didn't belong last night, man.
Right.
I showed up and I was like, oh.
Well, I mean, the Christmas tree race is a little bit of a different deal. It's more for fun than it is, actual race. But people always want to race in classes that they shouldn't be in. And like Jimmy Dale's the perfect example of this. It's like all he races is True Street and Daily Driver. He's won like 30 races.
And his car fits it.
Because his car, he gets in where he fits in.
He
know
made
what I
a
mean?
class so he fit. He just made his own class. He was like, well, this is what I can win, man. Him and Poland were just like,
we'll make this class.
Yeah, hey, my car runs 530s.
Yeah.
Let's make a 530 index. Actually, what's funny is his car most of the time doesn't run 530s. It runs like 540s or 550s. But
no pro.
Yeah. But
it'll be whatever it runs next. You know, if it runs like a 520 or a 550, it'll be that now.
Well, it just goes to show, like, you don't, like, get in where you fit in. Like, you don't have to run small tire. You know what I mean? Like, go run True Street or Daily Driver, you know what I mean? And then work your way up. It's like you don't just build a car and jump into small tire. You're jumping in with the sharks, you know?
Well, people do a bad job of reading the rules and understanding them. And, like, there's always gray area in every rule set. There's always something like John Sears has done a great job of taking gray area out, like if you look at RTRA. But, like, X275 is 6 or 7 pages of rules. So, like, that's overwhelming, you know, and most people aren't there. And, like, what I've seen in no prep and just being on the phone with customers every day is people got excited. They built cars. It takes an average person a while to build one, to your point.
Probably a year, yeah.
And they built by the rule book, they've built an unlimited chassis. It may not be that great of a chassis, but by rules, it's an unlimited chassis. And then they have a limited power plant. So that's one of your biggest problems right now is no prep is like they should go run True Street. Well, they took all the stock body panels off of it and threw them away. Or they moved the motor way back and they took the factory firewall out of it. So, like, they have this car that doesn't fit anything because it's not that great of a car. But by the rule set, it should be. So, back to Brad's point of, like, power and weight, like, I mean, there's a lot of people that, you know, think that a stock suspension Mustang, like, is outgunned by a parallel 4-link car. In some ways they are, but, like, dude, they're still a dang good race car. Like, dude, we have a stock suspension Mustang that's been sub 160 foot in X275. Like, it is a Ducky Johnson's X275 car has square tube subframe connectors. And stock floor pan.
25.5.
Yeah.
So it does not have that much tube in it.
It's stock floor, like the floor pans have never been out of that race car.
How about Fiskus's car?
Fiskus's car, stock torque boxes.
That car has always blown me away, and I've always loved the power plant in that thing.
Yeah.
But laps, man, laps.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's as simple as can be.
Yeah, but it's hard to beat a Mustang. So the tube chassis rules don't fix anything, but
not or like for what we see,
or
it's
factory frame rail, and then there's just like a sliver of a frame rail zip tied in.
Well, it's real fun, man, to be on the journey that we're on. Is like we cut our teeth in radial stuff and dissected rule books and looking for stuff and then no prep was real, like no rules. Now they're trying to rule it, and like
to even the playing field back up. Yeah.
And now
it's
people
so wide.
Yeah, they're like, we'll do something and people will lose their minds again. Like I posted a picture from like 6 or 7 years ago of a car that we built, and it was just happenstance. I got a new phone. My new photos didn't update, so I had these photos from like 6 or 7 years ago at the top of my phone. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to post that. And we pissed people off all over again.
Over a car from like 6 years ago.
It was awesome. I'm like, hey, we're like recycling content. Look at us go.
Some new people to get mad. New people are in the game and they can get mad. 6 years ago it was different. It was different front runners than it is now. So that's funny. Well, like Billy's new car, like it might come out and it's hard. You're trying to like hit a moving target on what the rules might be, and to be a front runner. And to be a front runner, you have to be 6 months planning ahead a little bit. Because even in streetcar class, for this year, they outlawed twin turbo big blocks.
Yep.
That's always the first to go.
It changed the game a lot.
It's the easiest way to slow the class down.
Yeah.
Get rid of boosted big blocks, you slow the whole class down. It's the easiest way, unfortunately.
Well, unfortunately, the coyotes around here.
Yeah.
That's a big coyote.
And then you can't even like turbo size limit them because
They don't need a lot of turbo.
no,
Yeah.
it's like twin 76s and they make like 3,000 horsepower, and you're like, well, if you're going to hurt the LS guys all of a sudden if you start putting turbo rules on V8s.
Right. Yep.
And then the LS guys can't run with the Coyote cars, and then it all got
Well, it just a lot of it, man. Like up by us, so there used to be a radial series. It was called XOS. It was awesome, man. That's actually kind of where Limited Street came from. We ran a class up there. It was a 235 class.
X235.
X235.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of really talented racers up there. And that's what killed that series because these guys were so good. So all it takes is like, at the end of the day, what people really want, and they won't say it, is they want to race somebody that has a similar financial status as them. They want to race someone that wants to put a similar amount of work as them, and they want to race a person that has a car that sits similar to them. So they really want three things.
Yeah, we're joking with Jimmy Dale. We're like, this is how you can tell if you're in the right class or not. When you pull into the pits and the guy that's in the same class as you, if he's got a bigger trailer than you, you're in the wrong class. If you pull in with an open trailer or even a 20-foot enclosed, and the guy in your class next to you has a toter and a stacker, you're probably in the wrong class.
I'm an open trailer guy.
Yeah, you need to be in the class with all the other open trailer guys.
I love my open trailer, man.
We
Cruise at like 80 with that
do
thing.
too. It's just like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be running in a class with guys with toters and stackers. Like,
We joked about putting on a race that was dictated by what trailer you brought. It would be awesome. Honestly, I think it'd be made for good
you have a
racing.
class for guys that drive their cars on the track, and then you have an open trailer class.
That's
and then
small
an enclosed trailer class, you know what I mean? It
I'll
works.
drive
Yeah,
mine
yeah.
there if I got it.
Yeah.
It's not that far.
Right.
And then you have asterisks to every rule, though. Really, like Ryan Mitchell. Like I've watched Ryan take an open trailer in a Suburban and wipe.
Yeah. Well, he does a lot with a little.
Yeah. But there's always that person.
The rule books, they should start adding like a dash and like why the rule's there.
Yeah.
You know? Like, put the name of the person that they had to include it for.
Yeah.
Just because those gray areas always pop up, and then
Yeah.
John Sears has to figure it out. It's fun to make John like sweat a little bit and have to figure out a rule and like.
But really, John's done the best job out of, you look at just heads up racing in general. John has done probably a better job than anybody of keeping his classes in check and keeping them alive. Like, dude, they've been racing them same classes with basically the same rule sets. Like, some minor turbocharger changes, some minor weight changes, but basically the same rule set for 10 years or more.
Yeah.
12 years? I don't know. It's been a long time. That's pretty incredible, really.
I do always get a kick out of like, it's this class record, and it's like, well, within this year's rules and like,
Well, not really. I mean, if you look at like X275, for example, has always been no boosted big blocks. It's been big block and small block nitrous and boosted small blocks. It's always been like 88 millimeter turbo limit.
Yep.
And I remember back when X275 was going like, Ultra Street was going like 5.0s and X275 was going like 470s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This was like when we started our business. You know what I mean? We'll say even probably less than, 8 to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then now X275 is going they've been 4.0s with a single 88 millimeter turbo or a big block nitrous car.
470 is like street car with a radiator on a
Yeah,
Dragon Drive.
and Ultra Street with a single 76 millimeter turbo has been 430s.
Yeah.
That's
Unreal.
unreal. You know what I mean? It's basically the same rule set, but obviously new turbocharger technology. They keep coming out with better and better turbos. They just keep making more horsepower.
Yeah.
It's just it never stops. That racers keep pushing each other. and everybody just keeps.
Oh yeah,
going
everybody wants
faster.
to be everybody's got to be the fastest guy. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what businesses like yours are built
Yeah.
on.
Like
you
if
know,
you-
somebody trying to
yeah.
be fast. He's already got a rear end in his car potentially, but
Yeah.
he needs to be a little faster. He needs a couple more holes. He needs to figure it out. Like, he
Well,
wants
if
more
you look
separation.
At the first ever Lights Out at South Georgia, Radial versus the World went like 440s.
Yeah, 445, I think.
Was like the winner. I think it was Brian Wolf.
Yeah.
Like a twin turbo, big block, Fox
Yeah.
body. Won going like 445.
And that was
In
like
Radial
unreal.
versus the World. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now Ultra Street cars go faster than. Now
probably-
if you can't go 445 in Ultra Street, you ain't even.
You're not gonna
You're
make
barely
it.
going to qualify.
Well, it's
Yeah.
probably working backwards too. Like you see it squat and like pull the
Yeah.
wheels and stuff, and now it's doing the opposite.
Yeah, it's just the technology in 10 years and how far we've come in small tire racing.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
I mean, a lot of it is just like tire and turbo technology too. Like,
Yep.
so much tire technology has.
the
Converters.
EFI technology is.
Yeah.
We're spoiled with the EFI we have nowadays. It makes it so easy.
Well, some of the traction control is so advanced on some of these deals too. You hardly even see it. Like you hardly even know what's going on, but it's traction control. Like it's
Well,
not like a big swing where it's like all of a sudden killing all power.
Well, and the closed loop fuel control is so good on everything. It's
Yeah.
like literally, I can put a base map in something, set the closed loop to correct 100%, and send it down the racetrack, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't do that 15 years ago. You know what I mean? You do that, you're burning it up.
So the question is, how do you guys put Charlie together for a drag and drive? I'm sure you've talked about it. Come on.
I don't know. It'll probably never do a drag
Sure,
and
you
drive.
mumbled a little bit about some.
We've talked about putting together. So
a drag and drive car. Yeah.
our real good friend Brad Arnold, which
He worked for us for a little bit.
He did,
but
yeah.
we've been friends since like high school.
and so he's got a Buick that runs. That's where what Brad does drag and drive.
Yeah, you've probably seen it. It's a Buick 87, or it's a gray Buick 87 Regal T-type turbo 5.3.
Yeah.
I say we were on Super Street with it.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I've definitely seen that.
we
car.
were runnered up at Sick Week like 2 years ago in Super Street.
Yep.
But yeah, we're actually coming back to run Sick Week again with it this year. Last time we ran Sick Week, we only had a 25.5 in the car. We went 740s first day in Orlando and couldn't turn in the time slip. Was like, oh my gosh. So
So you're coming back for another sick week?
yeah, we're coming back in January to run it again, and the car's got a 650 cert in it
Not to
now,
be
so.
too intrusive, but your wife seemed pretty pregnant.
Yeah. She's already okayed it.
Okay.
She's doing March.
I sent her the
She's doing March, and Sick Week's the end of January. so.
okay.
yeah. Taylor's awesome. I had a meeting with. 'Cause he's not the best communicator sometimes.
Oh, so you had to intervene.
I intervened. I'm like, hey Taylor, this is the races that Brad and I would like to do.
Yeah.
And this is the schedule. As long as you feel good, you just let me know. We're here for you.
Our wives are awesome.
They are, man.
Like I said, if it wasn't for God, we probably still wouldn't be married because
Yeah.
they put up with a lot.
Well, even she's doing March. Jimmy Dale Poland's race, Small Tire Gangsters is in April, and we promised we would go last year. We didn't get the car done, so we really want to go this year. And they're paying a lot of money, and we have a car that we can park on the dance floor. And my wife was like, "If Taylor's all right with it, I'll come over, spend the night with her, help her with the baby, like we're a team, man." Like that's the stuff that people don't get. Like, if you have the wrong partner in life, partner this way and partner marriage-wise, you're not going to do nothing, man.
Yeah.
Taylor was pregnant last night slinging merch. My wife was out there slinging merch. We had
with 3 kids.
yeah, and Kinsey and our friend Sarah, they're all out there. Barrett's out there yelling at people. You got to have an army, man, and people that understand, we're in this together, and it starts at home. And, Heath, our partner on Charlie, it started off as Heath's car, then he kind of gave it to Brad and I, and then it's a whole mess. The 3 of us own it. We're not sure who owns what. But Heath is
The bars are yours.
Yeah. So
we don't care though. We
don't
have the
care.
same goal.
Yeah.
All 3 of us don't really care about money. So
Yeah, Heath is normally it's I love Heath, man. If we need something, we get it. He doesn't care what he has to do. We'll get it. And now he's looking at the drag and drive stuff, and he's like, well, what's up? Me and you can go in. Brad get to go. I want to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he actually just put a drag and drive together. It's a nitrous Impala. It's pretty cool.
yeah,
I mean, they're so fun to do. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, it's like
They're
Sick
a lot
Week
of fun.
it's so good. You
Yeah.
get to go to all those cool tracks. Like they're just
Sick Week's definitely
they're so special.
should be a bucket list for any race car guy. Like
Yep.
we've done Midwest dragsters and other ones, and you're like driving. Don't get me wrong. If you've never done one, they're fun. But when you're driving through the middle of Indiana, you're like, this is kind of boring.
Yeah, like Florida, you drive across the beach a little bit.
Sick Week spoiled. Once you do a Sick Week, you're like, I don't care to do any other drag and drive. You're like, the weather's nice, the tracks are amazing. We're driving down the A1A next to the ocean in a race car. You're like, this is sick.
Rocky Mountain was really good when they were in the Rockies, but you know, obviously, no fault of their own. You know, Bandimere closed down, so
Right.
it's like, well, you can't really
That's tough.
go.
Yeah.
can't go to the Rockies though.
Yeah, you're kind of, you know, no fault of their own, of course,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then changes the route a little bit. But you used to drive through like
Oh, that would be
beautiful
cool.
Colorado.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to do it in a brand new 2020 GT500 Mustang when I did it, but
That's tight.
that was great. I was
Yeah, that was probably enjoyable. Yeah.
I was doing laps. I would like rip up and then come back and like follow them again because I was just following Ruby and Leroy, but they were going, I don't know, like 60, and I was in a car that could go like 120 and just sustain that for as long as you
With
wanted.
your AC on, whatever you needed.
I had the camera guys though, so that kind of helped. But but yeah, I mean they're so good. It's such a fun experience. Even if you're just friends with a racer and you go just trail along with it,
Absolutely.
just hang out.
Yeah.
Not help them, which is the best part. You're like, I can't help, man.
Well, that's another thing that's missed too, is like how important having a good, a reliable crew that comes with you every time. Because if back to routine, if you don't have the same crew guys every team, and that crew guy, like this guy sets the tires every time, this guy puts fuel in it every time, this guy is behind the car, this guy's in front of the car. If it's not the same guys and it's not the same every time, you're going to struggle when it comes to a first round eliminations. Because all it takes is one slip up, one thing got forgot, and you lost. So like it's so important to have the same people with you every time and have a good crew. Yeah.
Last night I got there, I checked my tires, put some fuel in it. That was the only time I didn't touch it again. I was like, well, you know, it's getting cold, so I don't need to check how much tire pressure it's got. I know it's just lower now. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, you can go so far to an extent, but yeah, I'll say.
Well, for me, I can.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, you know, you gotta be on your game a little bit.
No,
There.
in a nitrous car, you got a lot going on. But
I didn't even look at the laptop. I was just like,
Yeah.
we'll just keep running it. The air's getting better. It'll go faster.
Yeah.
Our crew is really a well-oiled machine. Like Dougie comes with us now. Like we picked up Dougie last year. Our white Mustang we raced was Doug's car. He traded it to us for some work on another car. And Dougie came around this year, and man, he's what an asset. You know, like he loves to come. He makes food. Like he's great at changing spark plugs, which you got to be at with a nitrous car.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. It'd be Heath on one side of the motor, Dougie on the other side. It's like they each do their side of the motor plugs, and it's like we can put 8 plugs in it in like 5 minutes.
Was Heath the one trying to steal everyone's wives?
That's probably Brian.
That's probably
Brian.
The big tall dude that works for us.
He's got a Soldier Boy tattoo on his head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
with the chain.
Yeah. Our boys, man, like
I'll say I don't think he's trying that hard. As say the women just flock to him.
Yeah, he's 6'5",
big
yeah.
tall, tatted up dude in Jordans.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, with a gold chain on.
Yeah, not hard. Yeah.
Jimmy goes, yeah, be careful. He steals people's wives. And he comes up to me. I just met him. He's like, you got a pretty wife? I was like,
He's just joking.
I was like, she's got a kid. Didn't deter him.
That man, so Brian, he builds all the housings in the shop, and phenomenal welder, man. Like, I'm glad that we kind of got out of building race cars because Brian wouldn't have fit in one to weld up the cage. He's too big for that, but he can sit there and build the housings. He does a great job. He has 3 10 soldier tattoos.
Dedicated.
Oh, he's right on his heart, man. The one and
Should convince him to get one with a tree.
it wouldn't,
He might.
yeah. Well, because he has so many tattoos now that he can afford the random ones, right? Like it ain't no big deal. He can get some random stuff.
Starts to blend in.
Yeah,
He's covered head to toe. Yeah.
But just incredible, man. Like, Todd was with us last night. Todd kind of is under Jaybird's wing. We'll call him kind of Jaybird's apprentice of like how to put together a race car. He moved from Michigan to work with us. Like, Todd's incredible. Jaybird's been with us the longest, 8 years. And
How many guys do you have?
depends on the day.
Like 8 right now. Yeah, plus us 2. So, yeah, we have 8 guys. We're really fortunate. All of our guys are awesome. We've over the years we've learned that attitude is worth more in an employee than any skill. Like, they just have to have a little bit of skill, and we can refine that skill. You know what I mean? But you can't replace a good attitude and a good work ethic. Like, you can't teach that. You can't train it.
I got a buddy that he was on the show, and he has a service center, like really high end stuff, and he says culture is like 90% of what he hires.
Absolutely.
Like, the people around. He's like, I don't care how good of a tech you are because I can teach you to be a good tech. But he was like super dedicated on that. He was like, the attitude of the shop 100%. Is like everything.
That's what, like, me and him can build a killer race car. Like, this dude's one of the best TIG welders on the planet. I like to think that I know a race car chassis pretty well. Well, or race car front to back pretty well. You know, so like when it comes to putting together a race car, like, we're good at that. We did not know how to run a business. That has been a huge learning curve over the past 10 years. Like, neither of us went to school for business. He went to school for welding. I went to school for engineering or mechanical engineering originally, and then I dropped out because I was like, I don't want to sit behind a computer every day. And then went for auto tech and finished in that, and then I was an auto tech for a while. So I'm like half engineer, half auto tech, and he's a welder. I don't know. Probably he's a good salesman too. He likes talking
that happens
to people.
to a lot of
you know
people.
What I mean? So like we just play to our strengths. Yeah.
The business side of it gets a lot of people because you could be the best chassis builder in the world,
Absolutely.
But if you can't figure out how to make it profitable, it don't matter. Like, even if you
a
little profitable.
Well, most people that like are good at race car, like putting a race car together, they're artists, you know. So like, typically when you're creative, that's the only thing you care about is being creative, right? So like, you can't. The rest of it is you don't want to deal with it, you know. So you just want to be creative and do what you do. But what we found was early on, like, we started this business so we could go drag racing. We love drag racing, like we wanted to race and win, right? But we weren't able to do that because we were working on everybody else's car, and we were dictated by everybody else's dream around us and not our own.
And we weren't making any money.
Yeah, we weren't making any money. So you're like, okay, let's work this backwards. Like, we want to go racing. We want to be at the racetrack. How do we do that? Well, we can't spend 7 days a week in the shop, work on everybody else's car, and get yelled at because it's not done. That's not a sustainable thing. I don't want to do that.
Well, the other problem is if you go racing, when you're building race cars, the only way you make money is labor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to be in the shop building cars. If you're out racing, you ain't making no money.
There's only so many hours.
There's only so many hours in a day. Right.
Yeah. And then the guys are like, you know, your customers are mad if their car's not done. Like, oh, I want to go racing.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's why.
That's why we made the transition to part sales, is because we're like, this isn't working. And so we started our online store. Originally, I think it had like, it had less than 5 items. When we first launched it, you know, like
it actually started because of T-shirts. The place that we used to print our T-shirts back then, they put our T-shirts on their website. So they're like, that way, because we weren't making any money on the T-shirts at the time, we just wanted them out there.
Yeah.
So people would go to their website, buy the T-shirt, they would bag, ship it, and they would give us a little bit of a profit check every month. But the guy called and he's like, hey man, we're going to help you start your website because you're selling more T-shirts than we are, so you need your own website. So the T-shirts is really what...
That's pretty cool that he did that because he could.
He's a great dude, yeah.
Yeah. Because he could have been like, oh, sick, I'll just keep making more
keep
money.
pocketing this,
Yeah. And it like during that season, we had a couple of difficult customers, and like, you know, it really like overall that it made us think differently. And I'm glad that happened, and I'm glad we did it the way that we did, you know, because like when you buy parts from us, we've built a race car turnkey. He knows, like a lot of people know certain areas of the race car, right? Or there's a lot of chassis guys that are really talented at putting together a car, but they can't make it go down the racetrack.
Yeah.
We could do all of that. We could drive it, we could race it, we could put it in the winner circle. So when you call us and you need a part, you actually still talk to me. Like so many people call, they're like, "You're answering the phone?" Like, yeah, man, we're a small business. Like, like
it's funny. People think that we have like 40 employees. You call, you're like, no, there's like 8.
It's like you're talking to me. So like, if you have a suspension question, stuff like I can get you pointed in the right direction. Like I can tell you how we would approach it. Like every race car is a little different, but we're able to help you to make you successful on the racetrack.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know, like, you know, I think about this all the time, that there's like few people that can really ground up, wire, build, tune, like get a race car like down the track. And it's super impressive when people can like fully do that. And it usually comes out of necessity. It's like, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I wasn't paying somebody to do this.
Yeah. Also, you know, that's the only reason I know how to do everything that I can do. I mean, I did go to school to be an auto tech, but I actually didn't learn a lot there. I can say like there was a couple classes that I did learn stuff, was the electrical 1 and 2, like how to use a multimeter. I learned a lot in that class, and then like the automatic transmission class.
Yeah,
like those are the 2 classes that I like learned a lot in. The other classes, I was like, this is kind of boring. But anyways, like our first race car, our white Mustang, we didn't have any money. This was back before we had an online.
We really should have been racing, but
we had no money. So like we traded like a turbo kit for this shell. It already had a 25. We actually didn't build the whole car. It already had a 25.5 in it because we didn't have time to stop working on customers' cars to build ourselves a car. Like we wanted to, we just didn't have time or money.
Yeah.
So it was like a 25.5 SN95, like an older car, but decent little car. And like I built the motor. I built the power. I built the LS, and it was turbo LS. I built the power glide. I built the rear end. We plumbed it. I wired it. Like literally,
awesome. Yeah.
I built the car from front to back.
So this is the best. I come to the shop one day and we got this package. And I opened it up and there were some parts in there. It was from Summit, and there's a book and it says how to build a racing power glide. And I'm like, oh, all right. I'm like, Brad, did you order this? He's like, yeah, I got to put together a transmission. I'm like, cool. So yeah,
it was a stock case that I think I bought for like stock case glide. I bought for like $100.
Yeah, and he put it, and it worked great all season.
Yeah.
Well, like, you know, because you think about that, and how many people could you lock in a shop and be like, all right, when I come back, there better be a race car, and it better be running and driving, and like the numbers, not that many people. It's less than people would imagine can actually.
Well, I think a lot of people are intimidated. You know what I mean? And like I've always my whole life just thought like if somebody else can do it, I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like what makes them smarter or better than me? And I've always just had that attitude that like if somebody else can do it, I can do it too. That confidence, you know? And so you just dive in there and figure it out. You know?
So like that guy's no smarter than me. Shit, I can do that.
Yeah, I can figure it out. You know, that's how like when I was 16, I had a turbo Honda Civic that I put together in my garage that I turboed. I put the turbo kit on myself. Had to fab some stuff and, but I didn't know how to tune. I took it to a local guy and he blew it up. And I was like, after dealing with the guy, I was like, well, I'm like, he's not, I was like, I feel like I'm just smarter than him. So I'm like, I could have done that. So I was like, I'll figure it out. So I bought all the stuff to tune the factory ECU, and I just started street tuning it.
And tuning on Honda.
Yeah. No, this was before Honda. This was like on Chrome, like a chipped factory ECU on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like junk.
He's actually a racer at heart.
Yeah,
it sounds like it.
Yeah, I had a 2J swapped MK3 Supra when I was like 19.
Sick.
Yeah, 2J big single. Yeah.
Real 2J guy at heart.
Yeah, I actually got and then I was a tech at a Toyota dealership.
Okay.
I actually got a Toyota emblem tattooed on me, but it's one of the old Toyota emblems, like from like the 70s and 80s.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
You guys have a tattoo guy in shop? Also?
Wow, it's starting
Probably
to,
should.
Yeah, it's starting
At
to get
some
that. Yeah, we need that. Well, yeah, Brian's son that you guys all tattooed, his boy's tattooing now. He's getting really good.
That would be pretty cool to rent out like a spot on the shop for like
Yeah.
tin soldier tattooing.
Yeah.
Soldier tats.
Yeah, just like a little like.
Hey, now that we're like back to being like over the 10 years of like running a business and like learning, it's been actually really, really fun. We really enjoy now like the business side of it. And like, it's crazy how like in the beginning you're just focused on building a race car. Well, now like the race car stuff's easy. And like now we're just focused, like shift your mind into this like entrepreneurial aspect. And now like everything I look at, you're like, I could make money on that. I could make money on that. And like you just the shift in your brain to where you're like, like anything, you know, it wouldn't matter. Like, I feel like once you understand like a business and how it operates, you're like, dude, I can make money at anything. It could be driveway dumpsters. It could be porta potties. Like, it doesn't matter. Like anything you could make money at.
Yeah.
But that side is like really fun. Like
It's just what the people don't want to do. That's where the money's at, is doing things that people don't want to do.
Yeah.
Somebody will pay you very well to do the job that they don't want.
Yeah.
Well, it like now, like with, like I remember when I was learning how to TIG weld, that occupied like so much of my brain. I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out, and I figured it out. Like, and now, like the business side of stuff is so fun. Like, I love the advertising stuff. Like, we have a part-time media guy. Ricky does that for us, but eventually Ricky won't want to do that. He's not a car guy, so he'll transition out at some point. So he's been teaching me. We're really good friends. Like, I've known Ricky since I was 16 years old. So he's teaching me how to do the media so that I can control our voice, which is, I'm loving that. I'm loving learning how to edit videos. Like, it's, now I'm just thinking about, Ricky's probably going to have to edit the Christmas tree race, and I'll probably edit James testing. But like, that's been so fun to learn something else because we're creative, right? So I would get bored if I did the same thing all the time. And I'm real one-way focused. It's hard for me to do like multiple things. So like right now the media thing's like the bright shiny toy, and yeah, it's been fun.
Well, if you want to talk about scalable, I mean, it's unlimited scalable.
Oh, absolutely.
And billions of customers on that deal that you just
like you were talking about earlier, the advertising on YouTube for our products. That's literally the reason we started to YouTube. Is like we don't care about the YouTube money. It's a no-brainer. It was like so natural. What are you going to pay for Facebook ads, or like pay for a billboard, or sponsor a race for advertisement? It's like the YouTube, like, yeah, it takes a little bit to get going, but once you get going, it's like they pay you to advertise.
If you can educate and entertain
at the same time,
you get customers forever.
It's like, we're not making much on YouTube, but you're like, it's something.
Yeah.
But
if you could pay a media guy.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was our goal. We're like, if we can just pay the media guy's paycheck, we're advertising for free.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I gotta pee. All right, we'll end this off, guys. Appreciate you guys so much for coming on. I guess real quick, what are some of like your peak sellers, maybe? Like a real quick thing on some of your products that you sell.
Yeah, we make brackets with holes. Primarily, we're working on more products now because we bought our building and then we bought machines. So it took us about a year for him to really figure out how to produce all the products we were already selling because we didn't produce them.
Yeah.
So now we have that great foundation. We have a new sales guy that's coming on with us. I'm not going to drop the bomb of who that is yet.
But it's a big one.
It's a big one. It's awesome. So I'm really looking forward to January. So yeah, we're shoring up a lot of stuff. But yeah, brackets with holes. So 4-link brackets, big seller. All the stuff for the Mustangs, the 8.8 stuff. We're a real big component of keeping it simple. Like, we sell torque boxes, but most guys don't need them. We've personally been 440s on stock torque boxes. We have customers that have been even faster than that. Like, weld them dudes up, brace them into the chassis, and send it. Mustang gas pedal, we make that. Anti-roll bars, like all your stereotypical chassis stuff, we make it. And now we're gonna branch off into some other stuff. I'm not ready to exactly say what that is, but we're working hard to make a better product line. that's more for the DIY guy. That's always been our goal. That's why we put so much information out there. Please go to our YouTube, we appreciate you watching it, but we give away, there's racers that actually get mad at us for how much information we give, but we want everyone that uses our product to be successful. And shoot, man, even if you don't have our product, you can go to our videos and learn something about somebody else's product and probably be successful.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, you might buy a car and have some products in there and not even know how to use them and stuff. And rear suspension and everything like that. So cool. Yeah. So YouTube channel, everything will be in the description, of course. You want to leave us off with any words of wisdom? I mean, you guys.
Go ahead, Brad.
You always hit us with the motivational Mondays and stuff like that. Come on.
I don't know.
No, I think I was trying to throw the ball to Brad, but
it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, man. I love if you guys watch Motivational Monday, I appreciate you. Sometimes that comes from a place of strength, and sometimes it's a place of weakness. I've caught myself going back and watching my own Motivational Mondays because I needed a piece of that. It's not always all sunshine and rainbows. We have to look for positive things. There's lessons that we learn every day. And I don't know, man, if you are watching this and you're not sure, what you want to do or how you want to do it, man, you actually do know, but you're scared to jump off the cliff. It's buried in your heart. Forget what everyone else says. My dad, I love my old man. He's one of our biggest and best supporters, but he told Brad and I not to do this. He's that, I don't know about that. And now, my dad wears a tin soldier hat every day. He actually has a Ronnie hat. We made it for Ronnie, and we stole his name. He's been threatening to sue us. But chase after what's in your heart, and there's a lot of different ways to get there, and you'll find what people are really looking for in life is peace. They think they're looking for a lot more than that, but they want peace, and peace is available to you, man. His name's Jesus. So yeah, I'll leave you with that.
I love that, man. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Go check them out. Links in the description, but we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.